and welcome to day 6 of the Whimsical Wealth Activation series, where we're continuing our adventures and expanding your money magnetism. When I went into your energy field today, this is what came through. You are wearing a gardening outfit. And I said, hey, what are we doing? And you said, we're building a flying pizza machine. I said, what? And you said, I'm just kidding. You're being sarcastic. He said, I'm just kidding. We're going to get our hands dirty. And I said, okay, that's a very interesting choice of words because the topic is money. You said, well, I meant that for growing things in the ground, with the gardening reference and getting our hands dirty. And I said, I hear what you're saying, but this is when we start getting into neuro-linguistic reprogramming, because certain words and phrases hold specific energies. And since we are being mindful about our beliefs around finances, is there another phrase or imagery we could use that has a more positive association? You thought about it for a minute and said, we are going to be planting for our future. We are planting for our future. I said, yes. Do you see how that's a different frequency from getting our hands dirty in reference to wealth symbolism? You looked at me and asked, where can I get some good fertilizer for planting for our future and to help our money grow? I said, well, where do you think the best place to get it from would be? He said, probably an animal, because a lot of times, we get excrements from animals to turn into fertilizer. And this is when I saw a Fisher-Price See and Say toy. So if you have seen one of these before, you can also Google it. There is a kind of like a roulette game where it has different animals, and there's a farmer on there as well, and you pull down a lever and then it randomly picks an animal and tells you what their sound would be. It's called a Fisher-Price See and Say. And so you pull down the lever on this toy and it landed on a rooster. And the rooster crows a message of authentic expression. It embodies the courage to voice your truth, stand tall in your convictions, and embrace the spotlight. And I asked, what does this mean to you? This message from the rooster spirit. And you said, I meant to pave my own path. And that could be within family dynamics or social structures in regards to building wealth, even if your path seems unconventional. So why do you think your path is going to be so different? And you said, because I'm a trailblazer, that's what I do. And I said, okay, well, let's take a pause here. Do you think that means that you have to do something that has not been done before? And the reason that I was asking this was to check if we are running energetic systems of tuning out advisements from other successful people because we don't want to copy them. You said, maybe. I said, well, let's close our eyes and go within. And when you were checking, where our beliefs were, you said, I have a little bit of an aversion to listening to people trying to influence me in certain types of ways because I've been trying to break out of molds for so long. And that's where we go back to the rooster with authentic expression and stepping into the spotlight. And the molds that you are referencing were the expectations of others, whether that's within our family dynamics, society, culture, religion. And your future self said, but what about the people who speak the same language as you and are a couple steps ahead of where you are currently? It's more about finding people who are a frequency match. And they wanted to give an example. Let's say you watch someone talk about 5 books that have helped them on their financial journey. They're doing book reviews, and you like this person who's giving the reviews. All 5 books may not resonate with you because they may not align with your goals and values. So you would read a little of each book. Like, let's say you go to a library or a bookstore and kind of doing a vibe check and figure out which one feels the best and is for this next chapter of our life. And that is a book pun. The next chapter of our life. And Future Self said, the same goes for people who we are taking financial advice from. Who helps you feel liberated when listening to them? That is the vibration that we are looking for. This is planting for our future. Going back to the gardening reference. Shifting the energetics of how we are receiving new information. So a grander message here with the symbolism is Future Self saying that we have put in a lot of energy to not doing what others are doing, being a individual and not a conformist. However, because we have felt kind of trapped or muffled in life at different time periods, sometimes when we are listening to people give us advice, we are a little deterrent from that because we don't want to be put in a box. But your future self is saying, that's not everyone. There are persons who speak the same language, that hold similar frequencies, that are on trajectories where you are trying to head. So it's more about utilizing your intuition and discernment of, when I'm listening to certain people, do I feel really good? Do I feel inspired? Do I feel creative? Do I feel liberated? Those are the persons that we can take insights from, and not from a place of comparison or doing it exactly the same as how they're doing it. But you do not have to build everything from scratch, because that's where we get into decision paralysis or not knowing what action steps to take. And Future Self is saying, hey, it's okay to learn from others. We just want to make sure that we feel expansive with the people who we are listening to. And some self-reflection questions that your future self would like you to ask yourself. Question 1. If you planted a wealth seed today, what intention would you write on the seed packet? Question 2. Who is someone you admire that reflects the frequency you're stepping into? Question 3. If your future self showed you the growth ingredient your money garden has been waiting for, what would it be? So we want to ask these reflections to fuel our imagination today and get ready for day 7's activation tomorrow, where we'll keep on expanding the flow of abundance.